The opening scene of a film is the second most important in a film. This scene sets the mood for the rest of the film to follow. A good opening gets you immediately invested and provides you usually with the very first clue of the story. Horror films overall have, in my opinion, the greatest track record when it comes to the opening scene.
You got me out here in this creepy, confusing ass suburb.
A man walks home, talking on the phone late at night, and suddenly gets followed by a car.
Fuck this, I'm about to go the other way. I can't.
Then, as he stands still, he gets choked unconscious and gets dragged into the unknown kidnapper's car.
Come give the farmer his fun. He'll get by without his rabbit farm.
A young girl runs across the lawn and tells her father to stay away,
What's going on?
only to grab a car, driving to the beach.
Dad, I'm sorry I can be such a shit to you sometimes.
To find her the next day,
I don't know why I do that.
decapitated. These are some of the best opening horror scenes from the last decade. They get you intrigued and make you wonder what the hell is going on. But what makes these scenes so terrifying and great at the same time? The unknown. Imagine it's late at night and suddenly you hear a strange sound coming from the kitchen. You go to check it out. When you get there, in an instant, you turn all of the lights on, just to find your cat has dropped something on the ground. You sigh of relief because it truly was nothing. You maybe even have a little giggle to yourself because you got scared so much. So why was it so scary to begin with? Because of the unknown, exactly! The fact that you don't know all of the answers is something terrifying, because we as people want to be in control of every single situation and scenario. And when that control is ripped away from us, we get terrified. Another point what makes horror movies so scary is the atmosphere. A character that you're not really sure of if you can trust them or not. A long hallway with at the end a single light still getting covered by the dark. An atmosphere is created when you keep feeling this tension, this suspense that is being built by something or someone not quite fitting the puzzle piece that you're looking for. Now even a bad horror film could do these things and still be bad at the end. But how? Let's make it clear. A great movie has to have the following things: good directing, good acting, good writing, good camera work, good lighting, good editing, good sound, etc. If one of these things is off, you get out of the experience of thinking something is really happening, and you get remembered, oh, I'm actually watching a movie. A lot of the time with these points, you don't even notice them when watching the movie for the very first time. You only notice when one of these points is off. I saw 2 horror movies recently that had a strong start, but didn't quite make it to the end. The first one is The Descent by Neil Marshall. Still, I thought it was okay. But the minute it went from a psychological horror film to some sort of monster action-fueled horror film, it completely lost me. This is because from that point on, the writing got worse, the special effects when used were bad, the editing of the action scenes were actually horrendous. This is where the film begins to miss a lot of these points that earlier it was doing a very decent job at. With Antebellum there was something different. The opening scene was absolutely incredible. The great one-taker, the fantastic color grade, the feel of the scene, the entire opening is without any dialogue. But as soon as the actors start talking, the movie begins to decrease, because the writing and acting are not great. Also, the pacing for the first 40 minutes of the film drags. Then after those 40 minutes and the big twist is revealed, all of these points, well, except for the color grading, begin to fall apart. So, we established what a good horror film needs and what makes it fall apart. But now, let's talk about another point that is completely ruining people's perspective of what real horror is. Jump scares. I know somebody already told you, but jump scares aren't horror. But why? Let's analyze. When creating a jump scare, one thing is most important. Building tension. Tension is something a great horror movie possesses. I can hear you thinking, why isn't a jump scare horror then? Well, it's like this. It starts out getting quiet around the character, and with every move he makes, you get a little bit more jumpy, waiting for the jump scare. Then, when every sound is gone, the jump scare pops up right at that moment. Your reaction is to scream and laugh right afterwards. This is not how to build tension. The problem with the jump scare is that after it happened, you lost that tension for a second. You even feel completely tensionless. You even start laughing because you or your friend got startled so much. Like I said, tension is something a great horror movie possesses. So the problem with a jump scare isn't the beginning of it. It's the climax. A great horror film will keep you in this tension for the entire movie until it builds to the climax at the very end of the movie. Or maybe it doesn't even let you go. Some of the greatest horror films will keep you in this tension and will be stuck in your head for weeks, months, maybe even forever.